for me.
I love you.
Aw, thanks. I love you too. What's up, my people? It's Ghost Queen. It's Monday, and ooh, I have some juicy news for you. Crazy, crazy, crazy. So, don't mind my crazy hair. I slept in my curly cues, my spiral curls that I do when I do readings, so it's a big hot mess. What are you gonna do? I didn't feel like showering and doing my hair for the video. I had my coffee, and we're gonna get straight into it. So today I want to talk about this news story that came out of southern Louisiana in the New Orleans area, and it's just crazy, regarding the Catholic Church and sex scandals. Ooh. Now, I personally have been talking, I started talking 20 years ago about how I saw the Catholic Church was heading for a fall, a big fall, and people were going to start losing faith in the church. More and more of these scandals would start coming out, and it was the beginning of the end for the Catholic Church, and I do feel that's happening pretty quickly at this point, okay? So, basically, I'm going to read my notes regarding this story, and wow, you're just not going to believe some of this stuff. Okay, so on September 30th, an individual was walking by the Saints Peter and Paul Roman Catholic Church in Pearl River, Louisiana, when they happened to notice that the lights were on much later than they normally would be, and I believe they even said the door was partially open, but it was also a glass door, so you would be able to see inside, and they stopped to check it out, and yeah, they peered inside, and what they saw was shocking. Basically, the priest was half naked and having sex on the church's altar with not one, but two women. There was stage lighting, sex toys, a cell phone, and another camera on tripods recording it all. And the women were dressed in corsets and high-heeled boots. Love the style, darling, just saying. Okay, so the person passing by then caught it all on camera and took a video before calling the police, and then showed the police the video. The Reverend Travis Clark, 37 years old, was the pastor of the church, and he was arrested on obscenity charges. The women involved were Mindy Dixon, aged 41, who is an adult film actor and a dominatrix for hire. On September 29th, she had posted on her social media very blatantly that she was on her way to meet another dominatrix and defile a house of God. The other woman, Melissa Chain, 23, and Dixon were also arrested, and they were charged with the same charges as the pastor. Police said the charges stemmed from, quote-unquote, obscene acts that occurred on the altar, which is clearly visible from the street. Now, the scandals related to the Archdiocese of New Orleans are piling up like logs on a cold winter day. Because recently, a North Shore priest, the Reverend Pat Waddingley, disclosed on October 1st to the archbishop, that he had sexually abused a minor in 2013. That priest had resigned his position as chaplain of the Pope John Paul II High School in Slidell, Louisiana, this past summer over inappropriate text messages he had sent to a student. And Clark The priest arrested with the dominatrixes had been named chaplain of that high school to replace him. It's just insanity. The principal of that high school recently had sent a letter to the parents of the students criticizing the church for waiting to tell him that Waddingney had been under investigation since February concerning the inappropriate text messages, but the principal only found out about the investigation, around the end of September. So the church waited to tell him and really put other students in jeopardy. So the principal was upset and probably wanted to, clear himself of wrongdoing in the situation. So after Clark was arrested, the church announced the following day that he had been suspended. Now, in Roman Catholic tradition, the altar is the most sacred of church spaces. And according to canon law, when such sacred places are violated, they must be repaired by penitential rite before they can be used again during Mass. So, the priest and the two dominatrix were on the altar, okay? Now, Archbishop Amond went to Saints Peter and Paul Church days after Clark's arrest and performed a ritual to restore the altar's sanctity, okay? Now, documents related to this tryst were filed in Louisiana's 22nd Judicial District Court in Covington, Louisiana, where my ex, Wayne, lives with his parents, I might add. Whew, crazy little area over there, I guess. Anyway, the passerby claimed in these documents that they had looked through the windows and glass doors of the church because the lights were still on, even though it was almost 11 o'clock at night and this was not normal. And, they suspected some sort of shady activity, so they wanted to look inside. And then at that point, they saw the priest and these two women using plastic sex toys while having intercourse on the altar. And the priest was still wearing some of his priestly attire during these acts. And it clearly looked like it was all set up and staged and being filmed. Almost like they're making a porn movie. Maybe you'll be able to find it on Pornhub soon. I don't know. The women told the police that they were there with the priest's permission and they were engaged in role play. Now, the officers claim that although all parties were involved in consensual sex, they were arrested for breaking a law which prevents people from having sex within the public view. Okay? Now, each of the three could face 6 months to 3 years in prison if convicted. The Archbishop later said that the priest's actions were demonic and that he had actually had the altar burned. Okay? This is a crazy story. Now, the Archbishop posted a video to the Archdiocese website where he claimed, quote unquote, "It's a very tough time right now to be a Catholic in the Archdiocese of New Orleans, to say the least. Many people feel anger, betrayal, and disappointment, and I feel the same way, as do my brother priests. What has happened concerning Pat Waddingney and Travis Clark is unacceptable. It's sinful, and it cannot be tolerated. Let me be clear. Both were removed from ministry immediately and will never serve again in Catholic ministry. Clark's obscene behavior was deplorable. His desecration of the altar in the church was demonic, and I am infuriated by his actions." End quote. Okay, so frankly, I think it's a little silly that they're calling it demonic. Okay? What are we going to get back to the satanic panic of the 80s? It's crazy and stupid and silly. not demonic, just sexual, okay? And this is what happens when you have these priests that have to renounce all sexuality, okay? They end up going a little awry, you know, get a little kinky, and some of them obviously start turning into pedophiles, no less, all right? And this is what happens. It's not normal behavior to not be sexual. We're sexual beings, okay? So this is a problem that's been going on for so long, so many decades, and I think that all of this, you know, aberrant behavior has been going on, and it's just really starting to come very clearly into the public view, what's been going on behind the scenes with these priests and this aberrant behavior. But people are losing trust in the Catholic Church. You know, they can't trust their leaders to be safe around their children, to uphold these very strict rules and traditions and laws that the church has. And they're losing faith, and it's become a mockery, and they're turning away from the church in droves. So yeah, as I say, I saw this happening a long time ago. There's so much hypocrisy within the church, and it's getting almost comical at this point, you know? I mean, obviously, if there's children involved, that's not comical. But a priest with two dominatrix having sex on the altar of the church, fairly comical. So, yeah, I wanted to share this crazy story with you guys, especially since it took place in the New Orleans area and in Louisiana. What are your thoughts? Please leave me a comment. Tell me what you think about this story and what's been going on with the Catholic Church. Now, I do find it sort of ironic and comical also that I know, for instance, Christian Day, who owns Hex in New Orleans. You guys know I worked there briefly last fall as a reader. I know Christian was having a lot of trouble when he started Hex Fest in New Orleans, being literally bullied by the Archdiocese of New Orleans. The Catholic Church was bullying him and the people involved with Hex Fest, harassing him and just, you know, giving him such a hard time about organizing this event, Hex Fest, which he now does every year. I mean, really, it was unbelievable, the trouble that he was getting from the church. And I mean, how dare they? How dare they? The hypocrisy is real, folks. So, yeah, tell me what you think in the comments. Hope everybody is having a lovely Monday. I had a great time giving readings yesterday on Bourbon Street. Didn't do any readings in Jackson Square. Don't get me started on Jackson Square. And two of the artists that I'm having trouble with, horrible, grumpy old men who, you know, are literally targeting me. It's pretty sad since I get along with so many of the artists in Jackson Square that I'm friendly with and friends with, and I had no problems with up until just a few weeks ago when these two older artists who think they own the square, which they do not, suddenly, you know, came back and started peddling their wares again. They weren't there through most of the pandemic because I was giving readings in Jackson Square. And then they came back and suddenly had a problem with me. It's a long, silly story of politics in Jackson Square. It is getting on my nerves a little bit. That these two older, you know, grumpy old men think that they own the square. They certainly do not. And especially one of these artists, I've talked to many of the other artists, and they say he's a problem with everyone. So none of them seem to like him. I personally think it's time for him to go. But I did do readings on Bourbon Street last night, and I had a wonderful, wonderful time giving readings. And the night before, I gave a reading to this lovely woman who it got very emotional. She got emotional. She ended up crying. It was making me cry. And afterwards, she asked if she could give me a hug, and she gave me the biggest bear hug. What a sweetheart and a beautiful, smart lady. And it's really strange being a reader. It's almost like being a combination of a therapist and a priest, along with being a fortune teller. And people share some of their really deepest, darkest stuff with you. Now, of course, I keep all of that stuff very confidential. I would never share a person's personal details with the public that I feel are sensitive, but I can share that much with you. It's very touching. It's very emotional. I love to connect with people in this way, and this is part of the reason why I love doing readings. And I'm proud to say I have never had a client walk away from my table without them resonating with the reading in some way and feeling that it's accurate. I've never had a client come back to me and want their money back or anything like that. They're always pleased with the readings, and they always feel that they're pretty accurate. So yeah, I'm proud of myself for that. I love what I do. It's fantastic. It's great fun, and very rewarding. It's very, very rewarding, and you have to love what you do, and I do. I love what I do. So yeah, Mondays here in New Orleans, generally the city sort of shuts down a little bit. Traditionally, this is the day when restaurants close and people who work in the service industry can have a day off. So I'm not sure if I'm going to take the whole day off because I love what I do. We shall see. But I am doing some things here at home today. But I hope everybody has a glorious Monday. Thanks for tuning in. Please don't forget to give me a sub. So close to 1,000 at this point. And like the video, share it if you're so inclined. My video cut out there, I'm not sure why. But I do have some other things to share with you very soon. So I will be back. Lots of stuff to share. And I am working on that Muriel's video today. The one where I share the haunted history, and also I'm trying to annotate and review slowly the spirit box session that I did there. So all this great fun stuff coming. Yeah, so that's it. Have a great week. I will be back soon with more videos. And be safe, be happy, be loving, be compassionate, be empathetic, be forgiving. Kiss your loved ones. Tell them everything you want to say, because you never know which day is your last day, or theirs, especially now. Don't let the demons bite. If they do, give me a call and I'll help. I'll get those babies in line. And until next time, guys, I bid you adieu.